Hi, Dad.
Hi, my grandfather, Vito DiNapoli, he came from an area of Italy. It's called Calitri. So DiNapoli means of Naples, of Napoli. In Calitri, there were DiNapolis and there were Galganos, who were my cousins. And I was just looking here a note that Vito DiNapoli, this is a social security account number. The place of birth was Calitri. He told me once of a story when he was about 11 years old, and he would have to tend the sheep, and the sheep were out in the fields. And at night, some wolves came down, and he was chasing them away with a stick. And he was telling me this story as he was relating to my son, Vinny, and he said that when I was his age, this is what I had done. And in the morning when they found me, they found me holding the stick, and I was kind of in a shock, I guess he said.
Oh, man.
But, yeah, he had trouble speaking.
Oh.
So he was born in 1893, so I think he was about 15 years old, 16 years old when he came. And there were what we call paisans, countrymen family, that kind of sponsored him here. And he was a young man at the time.
So he came without his parents.
He came without parents. My grandmother, her name, we called her Jenny, but her name was Giovanni. And I don't know, I think she came from the area of Genoa. Again, she came with her sister and mother. And they also lived in New York. They moved to Brooklyn and then Lynbrook, Long Island. And I remember seeing her mother. So I had a great grandmother.
Ciao.
Vito had a barbershop on Pitkin Avenue. And his friend, paisan from Calitri, was named Johnny Galgano, who were cousins of mine. And because my Aunt Josephine married a Galgano, his name was John also, John's son, and my father married her sister, Cecilia, which was my mother's name.
So we have Vito, and he's got brothers.
He has, yes, he has brothers. I have names of them, but some of them were kind of an Italian name, they called them. And I don't know the translation, but this is how I recall their names. One was Zebet, and he built a farm in Port Jefferson, which is Suffolk County on Long Island. Zidone, and I don't know how to translate that in Italian,
Okay.
but he was in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn.
Zigale, there was Vito, my grandfather, and Barney, who moved to California.
I feel like Barney lucked out in the naming, where
Yeah,
everybody.
These are translations for. I used to know this, but I don't know. I'm not sure anymore. I don't
Yeah, that's right.
commenting, but that's how I remember how they were called, and this had something to do with uncle, I believe.
Okay.
Zidone, Zigale.
And Barney moved to California.
He moved to California. He had a family there. And I met Barney passed away, but recently my son, who lived in Southern California, I told him we have a relative there, and he looked up Leonard. And I met Leonard, and my son met Leonard.
So Leonard is Barney's son?
Yes, and we called him Lee. He went by the name Lee. He was a career man in the Navy from World War II. And his son was also a Navy man.
Okay.
And his son was a Navy SEAL in Vietnam.
Okay.
So we did meet them, and I learned about his son, who was a second cousin of mine. He passed away in Vietnam. He's on the Vietnam Wall.
So a lot of Navy in the family. Navy men.
Yes, well, the two of them, yeah. And my brothers, yeah, they were in the Navy too.
So Vito and Zebed and Zidone and Zagail and Barney, those would be your great uncles.
They'd be a great uncle, they'd be 10, 12, 13. I remember meeting them. And Barney, I think I knew, but then he moved to California.
So Vito then had
Vito,
Joseph, but who was first?
My father was first. Giuseppe, his name was Joseph. And,
Hold on, wait.
I'm sorry?
Grandpa Joseph is really named Giuseppe?
That's, in Italian, Giuseppe means Joseph.
This is news to me. Okay, Giuseppe.
Yeah. Joseph DiNapoli, but we all, the Italian pronunciation of Joseph would be Giuseppe. So that's it on his birth certificate.
Okay. Well, Carter would have been Carter Giuseppe then, because he was named after his.
That's right. Tell him that. My name was supposed to be Vito because, as being the first grandson, it's a custom. You're supposed to take the name of the grandfather. So my name would have been Vito. My mother wouldn't have it.
No.
So the compromise was Vincent.
So there was Giuseppe.
There was a Leonard, and he passed away. I think he had leukemia. And then there was Richard and Teresa. What this is.
This is a certificate of death.
That's just for Leonardo.
That's
That's
uncle.
my dad's brother. Yeah, that's
Okay.
what this must be. And it gives a date of, he was 14 years old and
Wow.
11 months. 1937. I knew little about that because we didn't talk about it much. But.
You were the oldest, not named Vito. And then there was Uncle Greg. And then there was Joanne. And then the twins.
Joseph and Joyce.
And Joyce. And was Joe also Giuseppe, or did she say no, it's going to be Joseph? If Giuseppe is the Italian.
No, we Americanized it. It's Joseph.
Yeah.
My grandmother's maiden name.
Oh, Papa.
Giovanna Papa. Birthplace, Italy. It doesn't say where.
Okay.
But I thought it was Genoa. Anyway, they met all in Brooklyn.